Okay? Everybody have it out, your map? I need... All right.
I'm sorry, you turned your thing a little bit, so it's gonna...
I did what?
You turned your screen slightly.
Oh,
so
did
your
I?
camera's not going to...
Thank you. You're just concerned with making sure you can see it later.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Everybody, good job, good job.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, listen with me for a few minutes. This is called the divided kingdom. The divided kingdom consists of the 10 tribes of the northern and 2 tribes from the southern. The southern being noted as being Judah. 2 tribes, Judah. Actually, what 2 tribes are down there? Benjamin and Judah. And the latter 10 represent Israel. Okay. Now, the totality of the 12 denote the divided kingdom. The divided kingdom comes about upon the death of Solomon, when the 10 tribes of the 10 northern tribes now, remember there was really no significance, that much significance as far as a separation, but yet the 10 tribes, you understand, there was always this discrepancy that they had, this gruntleness, we'll say. It goes all the way back to the time of the judges. All right, when every man did what was right in his own eyes. So as a result of the death of Solomon, the 10 tribes, they come to Rehoboam and they were asking him to lighten their burden.
Right.
Now the burden, we could say, consisted of 2 entities. One being the fact that they were being overtaxed. Under the reign of Solomon, they experienced prosperity. The other, watch this now, the other burden was laborious, labor. Solomon was building all kinds of things, and guess who the laborers were? His people. His people. So they would ask of Rehoboam to lessen the burden. To lessen the burden by way of taxes and labor. Are we understanding? Mm-hmm. Rehoboam will decline to do so. He will decline to do so. Now, his declining is a result of getting advice from the counselors of Solomon, and the Bible let us know his counterparts, his buddies. Now, the counselors of Solomon, they will inform and advise him, yes, your father was extremely harsh. He put a lot of burdens on them. You should relax. All right. Now, he's thinking about the people as they relate to Solomon or Rehoboam being the king, being the representative of God. However, his friends are looking at it from a position of power. Of power. You are the man that's in charge. You better guard your power. Listen to this. When God gives us authority, we have to be careful not to turn around and use it against him. And use it, you know what, as a leader, as a pastor, as the leader over the choir, whatever it is, those are not your people. Those are not your people. You are taking charge of them for God. You become the babysitter. That's the word I like to use, babysitter. And if you've ever been a babysitter, you know it can be a lot of work, because many times you're dealing with people who are not of the same mentality. Not that you're smarter, but from a position of leadership, your mentality should supersede theirs, and you look at the point, at the fact that I am a leader, which means it's up to me to lead them at all costs. I drop my child out at your house, I'm expecting when I come back and that you've taken care of my child. I'm not concerned with what the problems that my child have. You know what I mean? That you're supposed to deal with that. I come back and my child isn't there, and there's a problem with you. Now, the other thing we have to remember, and put this back, keep this in the back of your head. The division was political, not religious. It was what? Political. It was about governing, not spiritual. Even after the split, watch this, even after the split, there was still one Lord, one temple, one sacrifice. You understand? So the fact that they split politically, it had nothing to do with the unity that they had from a spiritual perspective. Does that make sense? Jeroboam will become king. He will become the king of the northern tribe, the northern 10. Now, God, by way of the prophet, had informed Jeremiah, and I'll just bring it today, that he's going to be pastor. He's going to be pastor. So here it is. All of a sudden, the people come to Jeroboam, and we want you to be the pastor of the northern kingdom. Jeroboam readily accepts it. I will be the pastor. Now, the pastor serves as the under shepherd. The under shepherd. All right? Because remember now, they're divided politically. But spiritually, they're what?
They're
still one. You see, they're still one, which means that spiritually, they still recognize God.
Yeah.
Now, this is a problem that God has. He doesn't have a problem so much with the political divide. You work with that. But when there is a spiritual divide, that's where the real problem comes in. And if you notice, it was always about idolatry, which is a spiritual divide. Idolatry. It's not governmental, it's idolatry. Thou shalt have no other. And they would constantly do what? Bring in other gods. That Solomon, ultimately that was his demise. All those women that he married, when he got old, they brought with them their gods. Their gods. And it was ultimately his demise. His demise subsequently became the demise of the people. All right, are we understanding so far?
Yes.
Now, Jeroboam, as the king or pastor of Israel, he starts to think, these people are still united, watch this, not to God, but to Rehoboam. If they keep going down to Jerusalem, now here's Bethel. Remember the two temples? The southern one was where? Right here, Bethel. You want to circle that because you saw on the test. The southern one is Bethel, and the northern one is Dan. So he will build a temple in Bethel and in Dan to preclude their need to do what?
Not to go down
to Jerusalem. Why does he not want them in Jerusalem?
Because he feel like they are leaning towards
Rehoboam. That's his mindset. Now, here's what's actually going on in his mind. There is a political divide, but there is no spiritual divide. And because there is no spiritual divide, the spiritual unity can fix the political divide. The spiritual unity can fix the political divide. Which means that if they keep coming together to worship, if they keep coming together, you understand?
I'm losing things.
Watch this. If they keep coming together and fellowshipping, the spiritual part of it, or the spiritual, it will overtake the political differences that they have, and they'll be one. Now, that should be a good thing, except if you are the pastor and you start to think, hold on, I'm going to lose my people. It's not about God anymore. It's about me. They will, watch this now, it will say that they will become loyal to Rehoboam. But it's not about them becoming loyal to Rehoboam. It's about maintaining the loyalty that they had to God. And he says, I'm not thinking about God. I can't risk them constantly going down here because then I will lose them.
Right.
So he will produce a spiritual divide. A spiritual divide. In the book, one of your homeworks, it says that over 20 times, Jeroboam is noted as being the man that caused Israel to sin.
Yes.
He did what?
The man that caused Israel.
The pastor caused Israel to sin. How so? Well, first of all, he will build 2 unorthodox temples. What makes them unorthodox? God had told Solomon, this is where I'll be. This is it right here. Now, you can't have temples without people working in temples. The people that work them are called priests. Well, the priests were supposed to be of the lineage of Aaron, the tribe of Levi. All right?
Right.
They're down here. So he will now institute his own priest to work the temples. Idolatry. Total idolatry. And because the people are following him, they will remain in idolatry throughout the time, throughout their existence. There could not be a good king in Israel. There could not be. Does that make sense? Now, I'm using the word Israel to denote the political divide. Judah represents a political divide. As a whole, these are all God's people. It's Israel, God's people. Why would I say that? Even when there is the political divide, God is still working with each side to deal with idolatry. Is this right? The prophets that he sends to Israel and prophets that he has in Judah. Why so? Because his concern is that there is not a spiritual divide. Isaiah, one of the main prophets up in Israel. Why? Turn around. He's telling them, turn around. What about the prophets in Judah? What are they saying? Turn around. Turn around. So we can't forget that when we speak of the divided kingdom, Israel is not a divided kingdom, nor is Judah a divided kingdom. They are not a divided kingdom. The divided kingdom is what? Israel as a whole. These are kingdoms. These are kingdoms in the divided kingdom, but Judah is not the divided kingdom. Judah is not a divided kingdom. Why? Judah isn't divided. Neither is Israel as a people, as a government, divided. What's divided? The nation as a whole. The nation as a whole. Now, let me show you something. Israel after the fall. Judah after the fall of Israel. Now, this is Judah after the fall of Israel. Now, we just saw what the northern and the southern look like. This is all that's left once Israel falls. Now, Israel, watch this now. Israel as a governing body is gone. It's over. As a governing body, Israel is over. The people of God, watch this, are still his. At this point, we refer to Judah. Why? Because the territory now, Judah is what's left now. But even Judah is expanded. Look here, here's Bethel. Here's Bethel right here. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. So now Judah becomes the representation of Israel. Not as a governing body, but as what? God's people. Does that make sense? As God's people. So we're saying Judah, and in actuality, they're Israel. They're Israel. Israel as a governing body no longer exists. But as far as God's people, here it is. Now, watch this. This is Judah after the exile. See how small this is? After the exile. After the exile. This now represents what?
God's people.
This is Israel. This is Israel. This is very scarcely after this do they even use the word Judah to identify God's people. It becomes Israel. It's Israel. It's Israel. It's the united. It's united again. Only it's not referred to as a kingdom because they will never again have a king because they will always be under somebody else. They will always be under somebody. Does that make sense? They will be under someone else. This is Israel. This is Israel. This is Israel.
Wow.
God's people. That's it. That's it. In essence, the land that God had promised them, if I remember correctly, they will only occupy 1/3 of it. And at this point, they've lost almost everything. It's gone. It's gone. That's it. That's it. The inheritance is gone. It's gone.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Would this be considered the remnant of God's people that was left? Because there was a question on one of the homework. I mean, about the paragraph that we had to write about, you know, was there? I'm trying to remember. I think I put down that there was a remnant of God's people left. So I had to look up to what was remnant mean. That means small portion
Right.
left behind.
A small.
So this is what was left.
Now remember, these people wouldn't have been considered left behind. How is this populated? Cyrus will do what?
Allow them to return back.
He will allow them to return back.
Right.
Now, when they go back, there are other people that are inhabiting the land. Most of the time when we speak of the remnant, it would be pre this, when you have most of the people who are off and you have the ones who are just holding on.
Right.
That becomes remnant. Now, this would be a remnant to the extent that you have people, God still has people, you know what, this is Judah, Israel right here. But the masses of the people you read in your book, they didn't even come back. In Ezra, we found that the masses of the folk didn't come back. Wherever it was that they were deported to during the reign of the Babylonians, they became prosperous, and what did they do? They stayed there.
Yeah, right.
They stayed there. They stayed there. That, you know, and it's so nice because on the day of Pentecost, when you read that, when they're in the upper room and the people, it said that people are from where? From everywhere. How do people get there? They never went back. They never went back. They never went back. So all of a sudden now, people are everywhere. And we know, remember we talked about the during the time of the intertestamental period? Remember we talked about that? The fact that God used the Greeks in order that there was a universal language.
Right.
And what did he use the Romans primarily for? Governing, but what was all the other things? The what? Starts with an R. To build roads.
Right.
To build, remember that? To build roads. You know why?
Right.
Because when Christ came, all the people that were in different areas, they need to be able to get back.
Right.
They needed to be able to get back.
And that's what the Romans.
Yes. So the language, watch this now, the Tower of Babel is where God separated man by confusing the language.
Exactly.
Watch this. On the day of Pentecost, he will unite everybody by one language. He unites everybody. They're in the upper room and people are actually hearing their language.
Their own language.
So he uses the language with Tower of Babel to confuse everybody.
Right.
One language to many. Then on the day of Pentecost, he will use one language to do what?
Bring them back.
Bring everybody back.
Right.
Bring everybody back.
Right.
Wow. God is something else. God is extreme. You know what? We don't understand God, and yet God is so systematic and methodical that when we study him, it doesn't, you know, and you really get to know who he is, you cannot predict God. You can't predict God. Watch this. But it gets to a point where man, that's God. You know, that God. I can't explain it. But there is this affinity I have to what he does. My God. And then we live with expectation that I don't have to understand it. I don't have to be able to put my finger on it. You know, there may be no trace, and yet he's there. He's working. There is no physical trace whatsoever, and yet he'll let me know that he will never leave me nor forsake me. It's been happening down through the ages. There is nothing new under the sun. And as we study, we see it's nothing but what? Repetitive. It's just repeating itself. God repeats himself, listen, and the devil does the same thing. And we keep falling into the same traps over and over again. Over and over again. So on your homework, if you answered on that question, as far as Israel, if you answered false, then I'll give it to you. But on the midterm, if that comes up, read the question again, please.
Israel was expected to resume their kingdom life, just as if it had not been interrupted by captivity.
Was that the expectation that God had for Israel?
Israel is
Yes.
expected to resume.
Yes. Remember now, because above that speaks of Judah. In the book, it would say, it uses that in reference to Judah. But we realize that after captivity, that the people, God's people, are yet the Israelites. They're yet His chosen people.
Which question? Excuse me.
What number is that?
15.
15.
What
15.
14?
What is 14?
14 is when you started discussing this.
What? The southern kingdom
The
was
southern kingdom was restored.
Yes,
So that's true?
that's true.
Okay, all right.
That's true.
Was that because I remember I brought the question up?
Yes, we're saying, in a sense, what we're saying, the southern kingdom, watch this, as a result of being post-exile,
Right.
southern kingdom, Judah, Israel are synonymous.
Okay, all right. So either one of them.
Are synonymous, yes.
There you go. That's what it
It's synonymous.
is. Okay.
Okay? Do you see why?
All right.
It's synonymous. Israel, the 10 tribes, as a governing body, goes off the scene, never to reappear again.
Right.
Never to reappear again. All right? Okay.
And number 15, where it was it Israel or was it expected to resume? I have Judah was expected to.
So, okay, read it. Well, read it again, please.
Okay, the question says Israel was expected to resume their religious life just as if it had not
That's 15, right?
been interrupted
Yes, and what's 14?
by captivity. The southern kingdom was restored
Yes.
from exile.
Both of those are true.
Okay.
Both of those are true. Both of those
So
are
if
true.
we have Judah, that would be wrong.
If you wrote Judah, no, isn't it asking you true or false?
It's still synonymous, right?
Was that a feeling or was it a true and false?
All right.
True and false.
Well, see, if it was a true and false, then where would Judah come in?
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. And I'm not being, I just, cause if it was a fill-in, then that's logical.
Okay.
But I kind of remember that as being a true or false, okay?
Okay.
All right. All right, okay, let's go. The next one, please. Where are we? With this? 16.
Match the
Very loudly, please.
Match the last 4 kings of Judah with the number of years they reigned.
Now, without looking at your papers, look at me, please. Who are the last 4 kings of Judah?
Zedekiah.
In order, in chronological order.
I'm going, okay.
The last 4.
Jehoahaz.
Okay, Jehoahaz,
Sir.
Jehoiakim, okay.
Jehoiachin.
Jehoiachin,
And then Zedekiah.
and then Zedekiah. Now say it again, everybody. The last 4.
Jehoahaz. Jehoiakim.
Joachim,
Jehoiachin.
Joachim,
And Zedekiah.
and Zedekiah. What's the formula? As far as the years. 311, 311.
311. There you go.
311, 311.
311.
It's just that simple. 311, 311.
On the quiz you have years, but it's 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. But you know what though?
Yeah.
And that's yes. It should have been it should have been a month. But you all still figured it out.
Right.
It be by process.
Credit for that no matter what, because it was incorrect.
Well, here's the thing. Watch this. And everybody get this on camera too. Everybody get this on camera. Now, if there had been 5, then you could get away with that. Because 5 choices would mean that I could pick that one and still get the rest of them right. But since there are just 4, if that one confused me, that means that I chose something else that was wrong with me. I was ignorant. I didn't know anyway.
There you go.
Because I had to. You said I mean there are 4,
Yeah.
so I had to choose something which showed I really didn't know what it was. All right, let's go. Does that make sense? The deduction we have there, what I meant by how you figured out, even if I wasn't sure about that, if I chose something else because it said 3 years, that means I would have to choose something else and it was definitely wrong. So I didn't know.
Right.
But the
All right, the next one.
11:3.
First and second kings are recorded.
Jehoiaz was how long?
Jehoiaz
3
was
months.
3 months. Jehoiakim.
11 years.
11
Jehoiachin.
3 months.
Zedekiah.
11 years.
11
Okay. Okay.
311, 311.
Okay, that's it. 311, 311. Next one, please.
First and second kings are recorded scenes from the throne of God. No, because that is seen from the throne, from the king's side.
All right. Now remember we talked about that. If you all remember, I kept going over that one. Did I not? I kept going over that one. The book of Kings is seen from the throne of the king. The book of Chronicles is seen from the throne of God. Now in your book it says that Chronicle is written from a spiritual perspective.
Ecclesiastical.
Isn't that the same thing?
Yeah.
From the throne of God. Now somebody was, well, it doesn't say that throne of God. Yes, it does.
I looked at it as well, the way that I remember it is the king versus the book of the kings, the king versus the kingdom.
Okay, that's fine. That's a good reminder. Yes.
That's my first one. So the king is looking at the king, Chronicles looking at the kingdom. So it's the kings versus the kingdom.
All right, next one, please.
So was that true or false?
Huh? That's false. That's false. Okay, next.
Here's your question. Come on, we're down to do it all day. Sister Hamilton.
The 3 periods by which we chronically categorize the books of the Old Testament are pre-exile, exile, and post-exile.
Pre-exile, exile, and post-exile.
I know I got to get it right.
We don't have to talk about it.
That's the only one I got.
Next.
That be the last? That be me?
No,
The last
king.
king?
No, that would be
me.
Uh-huh.
No, it was
The last king of the divided kingdom was Job.
Hosea.
No.
Zedekiah.
Was what?
The last king of the divided kingdom.
Was who?
Zedekiah, because Judah had 20 kings and Israel only had 19. So the last of all of them was Zedekiah.
Now watch this. Okay, here's what happened. That one, I put that one in because you got to think on this one. All right. Now, if I had put, or if it had been on there specifically
I put on there.
Judah or Israel, then it's a matter of me trying to realize which one was the last. But I specifically put on there of the divided kingdom. I didn't put Israel, nor did I put Judah. And even though we didn't explain it to this extent before, the bottom line, you understand, is that you could not have chosen Hosea. Why? It would make sense. How could you say Hosea was the last of the divided kingdom? Doesn't make sense.
Right.
Doesn't make sense. So by default, by reasonable deduction, it would have to be Zedekiah. Okay? Now this was just a quiz. This was just a quiz. Just remember that. Just a quiz. On Saturday is what counts.
But you ain't have to say it don't make sense.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? With a different form of reasoning, it can make all the sense in the world. With a different form of reasoning.
I've been crying and sweating for the past 2 days for nothing. Is that what you're saying?
Okay, we gotta pick it up some.
Okay,
I want to go to this yet. What? Is there another one?
No.
What, for
Go
the-
ahead to the next one.
Is that it?
No, for the
Okay.
quiz.
Yes. Go ahead.
We got it. Number 20. First Kings, the story of Solomon is presented in chapters 1 through 15. I got that wrong. I got false. I got true.
1 through 11.
Right.
Okay. Next.
You said
Yes.
1 through 11?
Yes.
I thought it was 1 through 9.
And that's okay that you thought that. What do you think now, though?
111.
1 through 11.
All right, next one.
I won't forget that.
See what I mean? You won't? Yes. Next.
21.
Match each letter with the correct answer.
Okay.
Cover the entire period of the exile.
Now let me ask you this. What could it not be? What do you already know that it's not?
Became covered.
No. What could not be the answer? What do you look at your choices? Look at both sides, A, B, C, and D, and look at 1, 2, 3, 4. What could not be the answer?
Chronicles.
Anybody?
Chronicles.
Chronicles could. What could not be the answer? What's the second one?
It could not be the answer.
Second one
First
is-
King.
is First
It could be First Kings, right? Because we already talked about it. We already had that. The first question that was on there was in reference to Elijah and First Kings.
Right.
Right.
So it cannot be First Kings. Now, we also know it couldn't be what?
Second King.
Second King. Because logic would dictate that Elijah was in First Kings and Elisha would be Second Kings.
Right.
Go ahead on.
Logic dictates that. Now, look at this. Look at the next two choices. Watch this. It's going to ask you about the life of David and the total life of the total time of the exile. Which comes first?
The life of David.
The life of David. What are the only two? What are the two options I have left?
First.
First Chronicles and Second Chronicles. Look, you see that?
Yeah.
So by default, what does it have to be?
I got all that wrong.
Second Chronicles
Well, Second Chronicles would be what?
covers the entire period of the exile.
That's right.
Second
That's right.
Chronicles
Now remember, you all, I don't have to remember specifics.
covers
I just stop and I think about this. I eliminate king. Watch this now. You were given questions on there to help you to eliminate kings. Kings is out. The only thing that's left is First and Second Chronicles, and the two choices are David and the exile. By process of elimination, David precedes the exile. So do you see how I'm not trying to trick you?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to trick you. Well, what do you know? Can you work this out? Can you reason this out?
I almost had it.
How many people will never forget that? How many people will never forget? Yes, sir.
I'm halfway with the never forget it part.
I honestly believe that when you see that again,
You know you are quick.
the light's going on.
I hope so.
Yeah.
The lights
When
on.
you just put it there, the way you just put it.
Yeah.
Because the light went out. But
Yes.
the light came on when you just explained it.
And if I could say this, if I could say this for everyone, on camera, if I could say this, as we go through things and we talk about it, you know what I'm going to do is the classes, we're going to start going from 6 to 8. We're going to stop at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
It'll just be 8 o'clock, no more 8:30.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is that the week that we're off, I'm going to facilitate a study group.
Oh, that's good.
A 1 hour study group. All right? It's not to give out answers. It's not to help with your homework. It's for us to talk about. Because we're just going to talk about it for 1 hour. Why do you want to do this? Because when we talk about it, it helps to jar you. You don't want to systematically or by rote remember that David first. You want to be able to figure it out no matter what's there.
Right.
You want to use reason. You know what I mean? Let me think. What do I know about this? Because oftentimes, if I can just deal with what I know, it's called a process of elimination. I eliminate things. And when I eliminate things, say with me, it's more of my favorite now. It's more of my favorite. Because I've eliminated things. And that's what you always want to be able to eliminate. That could not be it. So that's not an option anymore. Okay? Is there another one? That's it?
The lost tribes were called such because they were. The lost tribes were called such because there is no record of their existence after the Assyrians conquered the northern kingdom of Israel in 721, 722 BC. True.
That is true. That's true. Next. Next.
Jeroboam set up, you got it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Where you at?
What number?
23.
23.
23.
23.
Okay.
Jeroboam set up idolatrous idols in Bethel and Dan.
Now, read blank and blank and then read what it says after that.
Oh, blank and blank. Answer beginning with the southern location, then the northern.
Now, you see that? Now, watch this now.
Location.
Okay.
Watch that now. Let's go back. Look. Now, we emphasize that every time we have the map up. What does it say? Beginning with what? the southern location.
Down.
Judah.
So what would be the answer for the first one?
Judah.
No.
No, it would be,
He set up idolatrous temples. Jeroboam. Where did he set up the temples?
Oh.
Dan and Bethel.
Dan and
Dan. But that's wrong though. That would be wrong.
Oh, that's the wrong order.
That's it, because it goes from the southern to the northern.
It'd be Bethel.
Oh, okay.
Bethel
And
is the southern,
Right.
Dan is northern.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
That's one of those what I need to know that we know what we're talking about.
Right.
So now, if we got it in the wrong order, that's still.
That's wrong.
That's wrong, okay.
That's wrong. Why is it wrong?
What's in the wrong order?
That's right, because it's asking from the southern to the north, from south to north.
Okay.
Is everybody okay with that one now?
Yeah.
Okay, next please.
The author of Kings is believed to be Jeremiah.
Jeremiah. Jewish tradition dictates that it was Jeremiah.
Jeremiah ain't took it out. Oh,
Okay? Now, I didn't ask you to guess because we actually did what? We talked about that. We said that the books of Kings were attributed to Jeremiah and the books of Chronicles were attributed to Ezra. Remember we talked about that, to Ezra. Okay, let's go. Next one.
Ezra is your answer?
No, Ezra would be the books of Chronicles.
Okay.
Chronicles. All right, let's go. Is there another one?
The
What
three
three?
books.
Okay.
Yeah. What three books did the author,
Big
that Solomon authored? The Songs of Solomon.
Well, now, is there something else there?
Name,
Oh,
books, and
books
order.
It's in the order. It's in
Okay.
In the Bible.
Okay.
Okay.
What's the first rule of a question?
Read
You know what?
Read the whole thing.
Yeah.
Read the whole thing.
It's Proverbs,
Proverbs,
Ecclesiastes,
Ecclesiastes,
and Song of Solomon.
and Song of Solomon.
Now,
Yes.
You know what? That's my problem. I just look and write.
Mhm.
But you got them right.
No.
Okay? Do me a favor, for the ones that are just doing your quiz now, graded quiz now, write the number correct that you have at the top over, there are actually 36 questions. So the amount that you got correct, put that over 36. And I'll give you a grade and you can, at the end of class, and then you'll write it down. Let me stop this because I need this to be in 2 parts. I need this to be in 2 parts.
Well, it's hard. It ain't difficult.